I can't believe some analysts are still sleeping on this team. Commanders fans, we have 3 explosive news items that are going to completely change how you see this 2025 season. We're talking about a player working with his all-pro brother. To make the definitive leap, rankings that are going to get you as mad as I am, and a situation on the offensive line that could be the difference between playoffs and the Super Bowl. But you know what's the craziest part? While other teams are speculating, we're already building something historic. Stay to the end, because I'm going to tell you exactly why this organization is sitting on a gold mine. We start with Luke McCaffrey, and I'm going to explain why this story is way bigger than people think. If that surprises you, wait till you hear the context that no one else is giving you. Luke McCaffrey isn't just training this offseason. He's transforming in a way few players have the discipline to do. And I tell you this because when I saw that picture of him working with Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson, I immediately thought one thing. This guy is hungry, not just for success, but hungry to prove that the McCaffrey name means excellence, no matter the number he's wearing. Remember last season when Luke had 18 catches for 168 yards in 17 games with 4 starts? Numbers that frankly didn't move the needle for anyone, and I get why. An average of just over 1 reception per game, less than 10 yards per catch. On paper, he seems like just another wide receiver. But here's the thing many don't understand, and this is crucial. Dan Quinn, a coach who has developed talent in Atlanta and Dallas, specifically praised his attention to detail in route running. We're not talking generic coach praise here. We're talking about Quinn identifying something specific in this kid's technique. During OTAs and minicamp, this kid showed he could shake off Marshon Lattimore in 7-on-7 drills. Lattimore, a cornerback who's been to Pro Bowls, who's covered DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, all the big names. And McCaffrey left him behind in a drill. That's not chance, that's superior technique. But let's go deeper into this. Luke comes from Rice University, where he had 1,164 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns in his last season. Those are numbers of a player who dominated at the collegiate level. The transition to the NFL is always hard, especially for wide receivers, but the pedigree is there. And let's talk about that pedigree because it's insane. Ed McCaffrey, his father, had 7,422 receiving yards in the NFL and won 3 Super Bowls. With Denver, Christian McCaffrey, his brother, is probably the most complete running back in the league right now. Max McCaffrey played in the NFL. Dylan McCaffrey is playing college football. This family breathes athletic excellence. Do you think it's a coincidence he's training with Christian and Bijan Robinson during the league's quietest period? I tell you this, when a player seeks that kind of competition in their free time, when they're willing to travel and coordinate with elite players to train together, it means they're ready to fight for something bigger than just a roster spot. Look, his role diminished last season. That's true. He started with more snaps and gradually lost opportunities. But I believe that was part of the natural learning process for a rookie, adjusting not just to professional play but a completely new offensive system with a rookie quarterback as well. Last year's experience gave him the base, understanding NFL coverages, the speed of the game, the physical intensity, the professional expectations. But this offseason is giving him the tools to explode, training with elite players, specifically working on his weaknesses and building that vital chemistry with Jaden Daniels in his free time. And you know what really excites me? That's Scott Abraham, who knows this organization better than anyone, shared that photo because he knows it means something. Insiders don't share random content. When they highlight something, it's because they're seeing real progress. I predict that Luke McCaffrey is going to be one of the biggest surprises this season. Not just for us, but the whole league. Because he has the talent, he has the work, ethic, he has the coaching, and now he has the experience. That's the perfect formula for a breakout season. But that's nothing compared to what's next. And this thing has me so mad I had to take a break before talking about it because I didn't want to completely explode. Sportsnaut just released their power rankings for the 2025 season, and they have the Washington Commanders at number 10. Ken, can you believe that after what we did last season with a rookie quarterback that broke all the records? Matt Johnson, the author of this ranking, says we should expect regression because breakout. Teams typically step back the next year, using the Houston Texans as an example. But let me tell you why that comparison is ridiculous and why this analysis is completely superficial. First, the Houston Texans had specific problems we don't. Their defense was a mess. Their offensive line had catastrophic injuries, and C.J. Stroud didn't have the same support Jaden Daniels has now. We improved our weaknesses in free agency and the draft. Second, and this is what really has me furious, Johnson has the Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy at number 8. 8! A quarterback who hasn't played a snap in the NFL regular season. How can they justify that? I ask you this, and I want you to respond honestly. How are you going to rank a team with a completely unproven quarterback above us when we just had a historic season with Jaden Daniels? A quarterback who set completion percentage records for rookies, led us to the playoffs, showed composure in clutch moments again and again. And it doesn't stop there because the rest of the justification is equally problematic, Johnson says. Very little was done to improve the defense, but apparently didn't pay attention to our acquisitions. He doesn't mention we have continuity in coaching staff, that our young players have another year of experience, that the chemistry between Daniels and his receivers has had an entire offseason to develop. You know what else bothers me? That they rank teams like the Philadelphia Eagles in the top 5 when they had an EPIC collapse in the second half of last season. That they have the Dallas Cowboys in the top 8 when they haven't won anything significant in decades. But us, who went to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and a first-year coaching staff, are number 10. Now I tell you this, these analysts clearly weren't watching the same games as us. They didn't see Jaden Daniels make impossible throws against Green Bay. They didn't see our offense dismantle defenses that were supposed to be elite. They didn't see the development of this team chemistry that is practically impossible to replicate. Jaden Daniels broke records not just for rookies, but franchise records overall. He had the best quarterback rating of a rookie in modern history. He led us to more wins than we'd had in years. And now we have Laramie Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle, protecting his blind side, and Deebo Samuel, an all-pro receiver, as his number 1 weapon. And you're going to tell me that's not better than what Minnesota has with an unproven quarterback? Better than what Carolina has with Bryce Young, who had one of the worst rookie seasons in history. They're completely crazy. The defense needs improvement. That's absolutely true, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But when you have an offense that can put 30-plus points against any defense in the league, when you have an offensive line that's now potentially top 5, when you have a quarterback who's already proven he can perform under pressure, you can't rank 8 teams above us, especially not when several of those teams have massive question marks. Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray, who we don't know if can stay healthy. Seattle Seahawks, who lost key pieces. Atlanta Falcons, who have a 40-year-old quarterback. And we're number 10, You know what this really tells me? That they're still systematically underestimating us. And frankly, that's perfect. Because there's nothing better than playing with a chip on your shoulder when you know you have. The talent, the coaching, and the chemistry has shut all those mouths once and for all. This organization is going to use this as fuel all year. Dan Quinn is going to put this ranking in the locker room. The players will remember they put us behind teams with unproven quarterbacks. And when we're in the playoffs again, we'll remember exactly who believed in us and who didn't. And when you thought we were done, when you thought I'd said everything I had to say, here comes the really crazy part, the one that's going to change everything for this franchise. Josh Conerly Jr. is not just our first-round draft pick, not just another young tackle with potential. This guy is potentially the final piece of the puzzle that will catapult this offense from very good to historic. Let me explain exactly why this is the most important news of the three, and why Adam Peters deserves Executive of the Year considerations just for this move. Adam Peters waited nervously until pick 29 for Conerly to fall into our hands. Nervously, because he knew exactly what he had in front of him, a tackle. That had been consistently ranked in the top 20 of most draft boards, a player that many teams had circled as franchise cornerstone material. Why did he fall to 29? Because sometimes the draft gods smile on organizations that have done everything right. Because other teams fell in love with skill position players or went by need versus value. But I believe, mark my words, that this will be remembered as one of the greatest steals not just of this draft, but of the last decade. Why am I so confident? Because this kid already has NFL-level technique and footwork after his dominant career at Oregon. We're not talking about a project. We're not talking about someone who needs years to develop. We're talking about a player who can step in day one and contribute at a starter level. At Oregon, Conerly protected quarterbacks who are now in the NFL. He faced Pac-12 pass rushers who are now wreaking havoc in the professional league. His tape consistently shows the kind of technique coaches spend years trying to teach. Proper hand placement, an excellent kick slide, awareness and protection schemes. But here's what really has me excited. Laremy Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowler, who's faced Khalil Mack, Von Miller, T.J. Watt, all the great pass rushers of this generation, is already praising his new offensive line teammate. And they're not generic veteran compliments to the rookie. Tunsil specifically mentioned the smooth transition Conerly is making, his football IQ, and gave a bullish projection on his long-term outlook. When a veteran of that caliber, someone who's seen countless rookies come and go, sees something special in a young player, you know there's a real fire where there's smoke. Conerly is making the transition from left tackle, where he played his entire college career, to right tackle, and that transition could have been problematic for many players. But coaches report he's picking up the nuances incredibly quickly. The footwork is different, the protection schemes change, but he's adapting like a natural. The Commanders are making him earn his place, starting with the second team in OTAs and minicamp. And do you know why this is great? Because it's exactly the same methodology they used with last year's draft picks. And we all know how that turned out. Jayden Daniels started competing with Marcus Mariota and Sam Howell. Luke McCaffrey had to fight for snaps. Quan Martin, Ben Sinnott, all had to prove themselves from day one. And look where we are now. Playoff team with multiple rookies contributing significantly. This approach builds character, builds hunger, and ensures that when they finally get their opportunity, they're ready to maximize it. Conerly isn't going to be handed anything, but based on reports from camp, he's earning everything he's getting. When Conerly develops the playing strength necessary to be more impactful on running plays, when he completes that physical development that naturally comes with NFL training programs and nutrition, we're going to have something truly special. His technique is already there. His football IQ is already there. Now he just needs that final physical component. Imagine this scenario. Laremy Tunsil, one of the best left tackles in the league, protecting the blind side. Josh Conerly Jr., a first-round talent, anchoring the right side. Tyler Biadasz in the middle, providing veteran leadership. That's potentially a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. And what does that mean for Jayden Daniels? It means clean time in the pocket to make those precise throws we already know he can make. It means running lanes for Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. It means an offense that can control games, that can impose their will on opposing defenses. Tell you this without exaggeration. If Peters got this pick right, and everything indicates he did, we're looking at the building of an offensive line that's going to be dominant not just in 2025, but for the next 5 to 7 years. It's not just about this season. It's about creating a competitive window that could last the entire prime of Jayden Daniels. And you know what's the craziest part? that Conerly is probably going to start Week 1 against the New York Giants. Not as a developmental player, not as a project, but as the starting right tackle for a playoff contender. That's the kind of immediate impact that separates good draft picks from great ones. The raw talent is there with Conerly. The coaches see it, the front office sees it, and veteran players like Tunsil are already validating it. His smooth transition hasn't just impressed coaches, but has them genuinely excited about what this offensive line can accomplish. This is the move that transforms good offenses into great ones. That takes playoff teams and turns them into championship contenders. And it happened to fall right into our laps at pick 29. Look, we have real development, absolutely controversial rankings, and potential franchise transformation. Luke McCaffrey is working with elite talent to give himself every possible advantage to make the definitive leap. The power rankings are disrespecting us at GAI, despite all that we accomplished last season. And Josh Conerly Jr. might be the final piece that takes us from serious contenders to legitimate championship threats. Do you think Luke McCaffrey can have a breakout season? Training with Christian and showing that McCaffrey excellence runs in the family? Are you as mad as I am with those ridiculous rankings that put unproven teams ahead of us? And will Josh Conerly Jr. be the steal of the entire draft that could anchor our offensive line for years to come? Leave me your answers in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started, and I want to know exactly what you think about each of these situations. If you believe the Commanders are going to shut up all the doubters in 2025, hit like on this video, because we need to show unity as a fan base. If you want to be part of this Burgundy and Gold family that never stops believing in this team. Subscribe, because I guarantee we'll have more explosive news tomorrow that will keep the entire league talking about us and what we're building here. Because at the end of the day, this organization is no longer the same mediocre franchise of previous years. We have intelligent management that makes smart moves, elite coaching that develops talent properly, and hungry players determined to achieve greatness. And remember, hail to the Redskins!